Hey everybody. So in the previous video we did the very basic tote bag. Great for groceries or anything like that. It's just very basic. So, and nothing wrong with that. But today we're going to take it a step further. We're going to make it lined, just in case you want that finished look. Still going to be a very basic bag, but we're going to line it. And then the next video, it's going to be the, we'll call it the lined basic bag plus. And we're going to jazz it up a little bit. But for today, we're going to go ahead and just do a lined basic bag. So I have everything cut, the lining, the outer shell, and then of course our handles. So we're going to start by getting our outer shell, and we're going to measure for our handles and get that marked. Okay, so I have my little ruler here, and we're going to mark it for about 4 inches. And we're going to go ahead and clip it. Same over here. We're going to measure in 4. And we want to make sure that that is not twisted. And clip it, and we'll flip it over and do the same. Okay, so now we're going to sew down the sides. Okay, now we're going to box the corners. So what I'm going to do is, if you have something that measures, 2 inches, you can use that. But I'm going to go from the seam here. I'm going to do it this way. And I'm measuring from the seam here. So my 2-inch mark, I'm going to make sure is lined up on that seam. And then the 2-inch mark here at the bottom of the bag, and we're just gonna mark it. And the same on this side, 2-inch mark at the bottom, 2-inch mark on the seam, and then just put a quick little mark. Now we're gonna grab our scissors. We're doing this a little different than we did in the other bag. Because of the raveling in the other bag, I didn't want to make any cuts. But this is going to be lined, and so it's not as big of a concern. But you can still do it this way, the other way if you want. Okay, and then we want to pull this up, and we want to pinch those corners together, or those cut marks, and we're just going to sew a straight line across. Same as we did on the other side, we're going to open that up and flatten it out and make our straight seam. Okay, now we're going to lay this aside. Okay, so we're going to do the side seams on the lining. Okay, and on the other side, same thing, only down when we get down here, we're going to leave an opening so that we can, when we attach the two, we'll be able to turn it. So we're going to sew and just pick a place. I'm going to come pretty far down. And now we do want the lining to have boxed corners as well to fit properly inside the tote. So again, you know, I used 2 inches before, so I will put 2 inches on the lines, and then I'm just going to mark it. Same over here. Okay, so what I've done, we're ready to join it. I have turned the lining right side out, but I've left the bag wrong side out. And now we want to take our boxed corner and push it inside the bag and make it meet up down at the bottom. And you'll be able to feel it to make sure that they are lined up. Okay, then you're going to want to come up the seam here. And make sure that they have lined up. And then I'm going to nest them. So I'm going to have the bag seam going one way and the lining seam going another. So you can see they're nested there. And then I'm going to grab a clip. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to find my corners, push them down into this corner, and then follow my seam up. And again, just nest them. And I want to clip them. Now I'm going to be adding clips all the way around. If you prefer pins, you can pin. Okay, so I almost made a mistake. This needs to go on the inside of the bag. So we're just going to move that in between the layers. Okay, now we're going to go back to the machine and we're going to sew all the way around the circle because we've left our turning point on the inside of the bag. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring that over. Alright, so now we can go ahead and find the hole that we left. And we can turn the bag. Once we have it turned, we're going to close up this hole. Okay, so now we can just tuck this down inside where it goes. And we're going to push out our boxed corners together. Make sure that it's laying nice and flat. Now this is a step you don't have to do, but that I like to do. I've got my corners pushed out and I have a pin. So I just want to pin that. Do the same thing on the other side. Okay, now I want to come down inside the bag. It's going to be a lot of bulk, but I'm going to push everything under. I like them being lined. I don't like that the lining can, if I wash it, you know, that it can bunch and come out, or, you know, come unfolded, if you will. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a stitch right along where those two seams come together. It's just tacking it down, really. You don't even have to go the full length. I'm going to go ahead and go over to the opposite side of the bag and do the same thing. Okay, so right there is the little tacking that I've done. So close to the seam, but not exactly in it, but it's still just enough that it'll keep it from ballooning out on you if you wash it or anything. Now, another thing that's going to help, now that we have that done, we want to smooth this out, and we're going to top stitch right around the top. Now, I had cut my lining just a little bit longer because I wanted the decorative band. That's just a little something that I thought I would show you if you wanted to add just a little something to even the most basic bag. Just cut your lining like maybe 1 inch to 1/2 inch, however much, you know, you want showing. Just keep that in mind that you can do that. Excuse me. So what I'm going to do when I top stitch is I'm going to top stitch it right at the top of the band, but then I'm also going to come down here where they join, and I'm going to put a piece of top stitch there. So I'm going to just jump on here and go ahead and do that. Hey guys, I am so sorry. I don't know if the camera was on whenever I attached or when I did the top stitching, but as you can see here, it's a very basic bag, just like the other one. We just lined it and tacked down at the bottom to keep the lining from shifting around a lot. There are other ways you can line it without having to do anything like that. Maybe someday we'll show one of those options. But for today, if you remember, I told you that I had cut my lining just a little bit taller so that when I turned it, it caused a little band at the top to come up. So I did go ahead and top stitch at the joint there, and I double stitched here across the handles, and then also reinforced it again when we top stitched at the top, and we came across and back stitched and went back over it again. So it's a very sturdy bag. It's identical to the other one, other than we did put a lining in it. So the next bag we do, we're just going to take it a step further. So still just a basic shopping bag, but we're just going to give it some extras. So I will see you guys later. Bye.